Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging straight into something, well, it's everywhere these days, isn't it? Gut health.
It really is, and for good reason.
Yeah, it's not just some passing trend. We're talking about a really deep connection between your gut and, well, everything else. How you feel physically, mentally.
Absolutely, that whole gut feeling idea, some real biology behind it.
So our mission today is to get into that, explore this complex relationship, figure out what a healthy gut actually means for, for us.
Exactly. Moving beyond the headlines and into what makes your digestive system tick and why it's so foundational for just feeling good.
And right at the center of it all is this thing called the gut microbiome, which sounds kind of sci-fi.
Yeah, it does a bit. But think of it like a bustling city inside your digestive tract. Trillions of tiny residents, bacteria, viruses, fungi, all sorts of microbes.
Trillions, seriously.
Oh, yeah. It's almost impossible to really picture the scale. They actually outnumber our own human cells, maybe 10 to 1.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot.
It is. And they're not just hanging out. They're incredibly active, playing a huge role in keeping us healthy.
But I guess like any city, things can go wrong. Imbalances.
Precisely. If that community gets out of balance, it can cause all sorts of ripple effects, leading to various health issues.
Okay, so let's define it a bit more clearly then. This gut microbiome.
Yeah.
What is it exactly?
So at its core, it's the whole collection, the ecosystem of all those microorganisms living in your digestive system. Bacteria get most of the attention because there's so many of them. But the viruses, the fungi, they're all part of the mix.
A whole ecosystem. And the key is diversity, having lots of different types.
Diversity and balance, that's really the cornerstone. A rich, varied microbiome with lots of different beneficial microbes is what we're aiming for. Think of it like a rainforest, lots of different species interacting, keeping everything stable.
And if it's not diverse, if it's like overrun by one type.
That's what we call dysbiosis and imbalance. And that's often linked to health problems. It disrupts the harmony.
Got it. So these microbes, they're not just passengers. What are they actually doing down there?
Oh, they're incredibly busy. A huge job is food digestion. They have enzymes that can break down stuff our own bodies can't handle, complex carbs, fibers, even some proteins and fats.
So they're unlocking nutrients for us.
Exactly. They're like a little pre-processing team, making sure we get the maximum value from our food.
Okay. Digestion help. What else?
They're also like tiny vitamin factories. Some gut microbes actually produce essential vitamins for us, like B vitamins, crucial for energy, and vitamin K, which we need for blood clotting.
Wow. Okay, so they're feeding us and making vitamins. Pretty useful tenants.
Definitely not freeloaders.
Now, the immune system link, that comes up a lot. How do they fit in there?
This is massive, really central. The gut microbiota plays a critical role in training and regulating our immune system.
Training it? How?
Well, get this, something like 70% of your immune cells are actually located in or around your gut.
70%.
Yeah, so these microbes are constantly interacting with those immune cells, helping them learn what's a friend and what's a foe, what's a harmless food particle versus a dangerous pathogen.
So they're like teachers for the immune system.
In a way, yes. They help calibrate it. Plus, they help defend against bad bugs just by taking up space and resources.
That makes sense. Okay, one more term I hear constantly. Short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs.
Yes, SCFAs, very important. These are compounds produced when our gut bacteria ferment dietary fiber, the stuff we can't digest.
So the bacteria eat the fiber, and SCFAs are the byproduct.
Essentially, yes, but they're incredibly beneficial byproducts. They have anti-inflammatory effects, they help regulate the immune system, and they're the main fuel source for the cells lining our colon. They keep that gut barrier strong and healthy.
Fuel for the gut lining itself. Okay, so digestion, vitamins, immune support, SCFAs. It's really clear why gut health is so tied to physical health.
Absolutely. It underpins so much.
Let's dig into that physical link a bit more. You mentioned digestion and absorption. How does the balance affect that day to day?
Well, when everything's in balance, digestion is smoother, you absorb nutrients more effectively. But with dysbiosis, that imbalance, you can get all sorts of issues.
Like bloating, gas.
The bloating, gas, maybe diarrhea or constipation, things just don't move as efficiently. And longer term, it can even lead to poor absorption of key nutrients, potentially causing deficiencies.
Right, the whole system gets sluggish or irritated.
Yeah.
And the immune link, we said 70% is in the gut. How does that play out in terms of, say, getting sick or autoimmune issues?
It's huge. That constant interaction we mentioned between microbes and immune cells, It maintains balance, what scientists call homeostasis. A healthy, diverse gut flora seems to strengthen our defenses against
It's
infections.
just more resilient.
Exactly. And conversely, dysbiosis is often linked with chronic inflammation, not just in the gut, but potentially body-wide. And that inflammation can weaken immunity and is also implicated in the development or worsening of autoimmune diseases.
Wow. So keeping the gut happy could potentially lower the risk for some pretty serious conditions.
The research is certainly pointing that way. It's a very active area of investigation.
Okay. Now, the weight management connection. This one gets a lot of buzz. Can gut bacteria really affect our weight?
It seems increasingly likely. It's complex, of course, and involves the gut-brain axis too, which we should talk about. But research shows differences in the types of gut bacteria common in lean individuals versus those who are overweight or obese.
So, different bacteria might influence metabolism.
That's the idea. Some microbes seem better at extracting energy from food. Some might influence hormone signals related to hunger and fullness or how we store fat.
So fixing your gut isn't a magic weight loss pill, but
But nurturing a healthy gut microbiome could definitely be a helpful piece of the puzzle for maintaining a healthy weight. Absolutely.
it's amazing. Okay, let's pivot to that gut-brain axis you mentioned. This is the part I find absolutely fascinating. The gut and mental health.
Me too. It's a game changer in how we view mental well-being. The gut-brain axis is basically a constant two-way communication system between your digestive tract and your brain.
Two-way. So the brain talks to the gut, and the gut talks back.
Exactly. It's a continuous loop involving nerve signals, hormones, and immune pathways. What happens in the gut can influence brain chemistry, and what happens in the brain, like stress, can definitely affect the gut.
How do they talk? What are the phone lines?
Several key routes. The vagus nerve is a big one. It's a major nerve running directly from the brainstem down to the gut.
The direct line.
Yep. Then there's the enteric nervous system, that network of nerves lining the gut itself. It's so complex, it's sometimes called the second brain.
The second brain.
Right. It can act independently, but also communicates constantly with the main brain. And then, crucially, there are signaling molecules like neurotransmitter.
Neurotransmitters.
Yeah.
Like serotonin. The mood chemical.
Exactly like serotonin. And here's the kicker. A huge proportion, some estimates say up to 90% of your body's serotonin isn't made in your brain. It's produced in your gut.
90%.
In the gut.
Mind-blowing, isn't it? So the health of your gut environment can directly influence the levels of key mood regulators.
Okay, that connects the dots. So if your gut microbiome is out of balance, could that actually contribute to things like depression or anxiety?
The evidence strongly suggests a link. Dysbiosis can increase inflammation, and we know inflammation plays a role in depression and other mood disorders. Plus, if your gut isn't producing neurotransmitters like serotonin properly,
That's going to impact your mood directly.
it certainly seems plausible. It adds another layer to understanding and potentially treating these conditions.
It really reframes things. What about stress? We know stress messes with our digestion, but can the gut affect how we handle stress?
It seems so. The gut microbiota can influence the HPA axis, that's the system controlling our stress response, including cortisol release.
The stress hormone. Right. So an imbalanced microbiome might make us more reactive to stress or less resilient. It's that two-way street. Again, stress impacts the gut, and the gut impacts our stress response.
Man, it's all tied together. And I've even seen hints about gut health and cognitive function, like memory or even dementia.
That's an emerging area, definitely. Early research is looking into how the gut microbiome might influence things like learning, memory, and focus. And yes, there's preliminary investigation into links with neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
Still early days on that one, though.
Very early days. We need a lot more research there, but it's a really intriguing possibility. It shows just how fundamental gut health might be.
Absolutely. Okay, so knowing all this, what actually shapes our gut health? What are the biggest levers we can pull?
Diet. Hands down, diet is probably the single biggest factor we can control.
Makes sense. What we feed ourselves, we feed our microbes.
Exactly. A diet rich in diverse plant foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, that's what feeds the beneficial microbes. It gives them the fiber they thrive on.
Fiber again. It's the key ingredient.
It's a huge one. Because we can't digest most fiber, it makes its way down to the large intestine, where it becomes food for the bacteria. Prebiotic food.
Prebiotics, so that's different from probiotic.
Yes, we'll get into that distinction. Prebiotics are the food for the good bacteria. Fiber is the main type. And when bacteria ferment that fiber, they produce those beneficial SCFAs we talked about.
Fueling the gut lining, anti-inflammatory.
Got it.
So lots of different plants means lots of different fibers.
Precisely. Different fibers feed different types of beneficial bacteria. Variety in your plant intake helps cultivate a more diverse and resilient microbiome. Think onions, garlic, leeks, asparagus, bananas, oats, beans. Lots of options.
Okay. And what about the flip side? What kind of diet hurts the gut?
Generally, diets high in processed foods, added sugars, and unhealthy fats tend to be less beneficial. They often lack that crucial fiber and can potentially encourage the growth of less desirable microbes, leading towards that imbalanced dysbiosis.
The typical Western diet often gets flagged here, right?
Yeah, studies often link the typical Western pattern, lower in fiber, fruits, veggies, higher in processed stuff with lower microbiome diversity compared to, say, a Mediterranean-style diet.
Which is full of plants, healthy fats.
Exactly. Lots of fiber, variety, generally associated with better gut health markers.
Okay, so eating more plants is key. But it sounds daunting sometimes. Any practical tips to sneak more in?
Oh, absolutely. Start small. Add berries or seeds to your breakfast. Try one new vegetable or grain each week. Bulk up soups or stews with lentils or beans.
Swap meat for lentils sometimes.
Great idea. Have a meat-free meal centered around beans. Snack on veggies and hummus instead of crisps. Use whole wheat pasta or brown rice. Even frozen or canned veggies count. It doesn't have to be gourmet.
Little changes add up. Now, what about this 30 plants a week thing? Is that a hard rule?
The 30 plants concept. It came from a study that saw greater microbiome diversity in people eating 30-plus different plant types per week compared to those eating 10 or fewer.
So more variety is better.
That's the takeaway message, definitely. The study showed an association more variety linked to more diversity. It doesn't necessarily mean everyone must hit exactly 30 or that 29 is bad.
Right, it's the principle.
Exactly. Focus on increasing the variety of plants you eat overall. Aim for your 5-a-day fruits and veggies, plus whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. You'll likely increase your diversity naturally that way. Don't get hung up on the number, focus on the variety.
That makes sense. Okay, beyond diet, what else has a big impact? Medications.
Yes, medications can play a role. Antibiotics are the obvious one. They're lifesavers against bacterial infections, but they can be like a bomb going off in the microbiome, wiping out good bacteria along with the bad.
A necessary evil sometimes, but with collateral damage.
Pretty much. And the gut doesn't always bounce back perfectly afterwards. Other meds like proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux or even NSAIDs like ibuprofen can also potentially affect the gut environment if used long-term.
Good to be aware of. What about lifestyle stuff? Stress, sleep.
Huge factors. We already touched on the stress link via the gut-brain axis. Chronic stress isn't good for your microbes.
And sleep. Does that matter too?
It really seems to. Poor or insufficient sleep has been linked to negative changes in the gut flora. Aiming for that 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep seems important for gut health too.
Makes sense. Our body repairs itself during sleep.
And then there's exercise. Regular physical activity seems to be associated with a more diverse and healthier gut microbiome as well. Another win for moving your body.
Wow, okay. Diet, meds, stress, sleep, exercise.
Yeah.
It covers a lot. What about just water, hydration?
Absolutely fundamental. Water is essential for digestion itself, helping break down food and absorb nutrients. And crucially, it helps keep things moving through the gut, softening stool in the large intestine.
Preventing constipation.
Exactly. Dehydration is a common contributor to constipation. So aiming for, 6 to 8 glasses of fluids a day is a good general target. Listen to your body.
Okay, that's a great overview of the factors. Now let's consolidate the positive actions. What are the top strategies to improve gut health?
A lot of it is reinforcing what we've said. Number 1, eat that balanced, diverse, fiber-rich diet. Lots of different fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes.
Plant power.
Absolutely. Then consider adding fermented foods. Things like live yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, maybe kombucha. These can contain live bacteria probiotics.
Introduce the good guys.
Right. And remember to feed the good guys already there with prebiotic foods, garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, bananas, oats.
Got it. Add probiotics, feed prebiotics. What else?
Manage stress. Find techniques that work for you. Yoga, meditation, deep breathing, spending time in nature, exercise. Support that gut-brain connection.
Prioritize sleep.
Definitely. Aim for consistency and quality, stay hydrated, and be mindful about medications. Use antibiotics only when truly necessary, and talk to your doctor about the potential gut impact of other long-term meds.
And maybe cut back on the sugar and processed stuff.
Yeah, reducing those can help discourage the less beneficial bacteria from taking over.
Okay, let's clarify prebiotics and probiotics again. You define them, but the difference is key.
Right, so probiotics are the live beneficial microorganisms themselves, usually bacteria, sometimes yeasts. You get them from certain foods or supplements. Think lactobacillus or bifidobacterium species.
The actual microbes.
Yes. Prebiotics are the food for these beneficial microbes, primarily specific types of non-digestible fiber found in plant foods or added to supplements. Think inulin, FOS, GOS.
Food versus the bug itself.
Yeah.
Wait, do probiotics actually work? Is there good evidence?
For certain things, yes, there's decent evidence. Preventing or reducing diarrhea associated with antibiotics is one, helping with travelers' diarrhea sometimes.
Okay.
Also, some strains show promise for easing symptoms of IBS, like bloating, and potentially helping manage conditions like ulcerative colitis.
But it depends on the strain.
Critically, different strains do different things. It's not one size fits all. If you're thinking supplements, especially for a specific condition, talking to a dietitian or doctor is really wise to pick an evidence-based strain. And caution for anyone with a compromised immune system, always check with your doctor first.
Good advice. What about fermented foods? Are they always probiotics?
Not necessarily in the strict definition. While foods like sauerkraut or kimchi are fermented and may contain live bacteria, the types and amounts can be inconsistent, and they haven't always been studied for specific health benefits like targeted probiotic supplements have.
So they're good for you, likely part of a healthy diet, but maybe not a guaranteed dose of specific probiotic strains.
That's a fair way to put it. Look for live cultures on labels for yogurt or kefir. Be mindful of salt in things like sauerkraut or sugar in some kombuchas. They can be great additions, just maybe not replacements for specific probiotic therapy if that's needed.
Makes sense. Quick thoughts on sweeteners and ultra-processed foods, UPFs? Any direct gut impact?
Sweeteners, the research is still mixed, honestly. Some studies hint at potential changes to gut bacteria, others don't. Nothing conclusive yet for humans long term. If you're concerned, check labels.
And UPF?
Again, no definitive proof they directly disrupt bacteria in a specific way, but they often lack the fiber that we know benefits the gut. So the issue might be more about what they're lacking rather than a direct harmful ingredient, though research continues. The overall dietary pattern matters most.
Okay. And one last term, symbiotics.
Symbiotics are just combinations, products that contain both probiotics, the bugs, and prebiotics, the food for the bugs. The idea is they work together synergistically, usually found in supplements.
Got it. This has been so comprehensive. It's clear research is moving fast. What does the future look like? What's exciting?
Oh, it's incredibly exciting. The understanding is growing exponentially. One huge area is personalized nutrition.
Tailoring diets based on my specific gut microbes.
Exactly. Imagine getting dietary advice fine-tuned to your unique microbiome to optimize your health outcomes. That's a real possibility down the line.
Wow. That would be amazing. Anything else?
Also, more targeted therapies, developing specific probiotic strains or prebiotic formulations designed to address particular conditions like inflammatory bowel disease or maybe even mental health disorders by precisely shifting the gut microbiota.
Really specific interventions?
Yes, moving beyond general support towards more focused, potent tools based on a deep understanding of these microbial communities. It's a very hopeful field.
It really is. This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. The link between our gut health and, well, pretty much everything else, immune function, weight, digestion, mood, it's just undeniable, isn't it?
Absolutely undeniable. And the great news is, we have agency here. We can actively nurture our gut microbiome through conscious choices about diet, lifestyle, stress, sleep.
It puts the power back in our hands to some extent.
It really does.
So as we wrap up, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Considering this incredibly intricate connection, this constant conversation between your gut and your brain, how might really focusing on nurturing your gut health unlock more than just physical well-being? Could it be a key to greater emotional resilience, maybe even sharper thinking? What's one small change you could experiment with this week to start exploring that for yourself?
Food for thought, definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.